Hi there, I'm TheFarmerJ, and welcome back to Jay Plays Every Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons game. This is the series where I play 1 year of every Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons game. Harvest Moon Game Boy Color 2 was developed by Victor Interactive Software. It was released in Japan in August 1999 as Bokudo Monogatari Game Boy 2 or Farm Story Game Boy 2. It was released in North America in November 2000 and in March 2001 in the PAL region. For the rest of this video, I'll mostly be referring to the game as Harvest Moon GBC 2. Harvest Moon GBC 2 is the fourth release in the series, or fifth if you count Harvest Moon Game Boy and Game Boy Color as separate releases. In preparation for this video, I was looking at release dates of the different games, and it was wild. At its height in Japan, multiple Harvest Moon games were coming out per year, with Harvest Moon 64, Harvest Moon Game Boy Color 2, and Harvest Moon Back to Nature, all coming out in 1999. And in North America, this game came out 15 days before Back to Nature. There's not a lot of information out there about the development of the Game Boy games, so I imagine it was a separate team putting out these games so quickly. But if you happen to have more information about the development of the Game Boy Color games, please drop a comment below. The game received favorable reviews at the time of release, and an aggregator site lists it at 78%. I take review scores with a grain of salt though, because Harvest Moon 64 also had a 78%, and spoiler alert, this game is not as good. Harvest Moon GBC 2 takes place in Flowerbud Village like the previous games, but the overarching plot of the game is a bit different. The town's not doing well, and it's proposed that a theme park be built on the farmland. It's giving Scooby-Doo villain. Your character volunteers to take over the farm, and you have 3 years to try to fix things up. Despite the minor difference in plot, the gameplay itself is mostly the same as previous games. You clear the field, plant and harvest crops, and care for animals and ship their related products. This game features cows, chickens, and for the first time on a handheld, sheep. The layout of the farm is quite a bit different in this game compared to the others I've played so far. You have separate areas of the land used for separate purposes. In the main area, you have your house and the animal barns, and you have a separate structure for each type of animal. I didn't end up playing long enough to buy a sheep though, because constructing the sheep barn required 70,000 G and 800 wood, and I didn't have that kind of money, or patience. In order to buy any of the animals, you must also have a required amount of grass planted. At least 8 bags for the cows, 9 for the chickens, and 16 for the sheep. Behind each of the barns is a field to plant grass for each type of animal. And definitely don't waste space planting grass in your regular crop fields. I'm not gonna lie, it was time-consuming and annoying to buy so many bags of grass just to get the opportunity to buy 1 chicken or cow. I guess it's promoting being a responsible animal owner though, so I can't fault them for that. As far as raising the animals, it's essentially the same as the previous games. Make sure to feed them, pet them, and collect the products. Another area of the farm is a large open field for planting crops. You can also build a bridge to expand the field further. Like the original Game Boy game, this game also has a bit of weirdness when it comes to what seeds you have access to. In spring, you can plant asparagus, and you can also plant potatoes if you're a girl and turnips if you're a boy. In summer, you can plant melons, as well as corn if you're a girl and tomatoes if you're a boy. In fall, you can plant sweet potatoes and eggplants if you're a girl and peanuts if you're a boy. And finally, in winter, you can plant napa and carrots if you're a girl and broccoli if you're a boy. Why are the seeds separated by gender? Well, everyone knows that girls like potatoes and boys like turnips. Isn't it obvious? But for real, I have no idea. A lot of the early Harvest Moon games that let you play as a female character have weird stuff like this. You can also purchase a variety of different flowers and herbs which are also separated by gender. Lavender, orchids, rosemary, and chamomile for girls, and geraniums, primroses, sage, and saffron for boys. The flowers and herbs can only be grown in a hothouse, where you can plant them year-round. It took me a bit of time, but the hothouse was the biggest purchase I saved up for in the game. To the side of the field area is an area you can fish in. There's also a pond that you can store fish in. I think that the only reason to store fish is to trade with other players, and more on trading later. You can also fish in the river below your field, so I tended to fish there. There's a shipping bin nearby that area, so it's much more convenient. This is kind of weird to say, but fishing is my favorite part of this game. I enjoy fishing in games, but it's not usually my favorite aspect, so this surprised me. I had some fun catching fish and plopping them right into the shipping bin to make some extra cash. This is the first game that features actual fish names too, so that was cool. This game also features bug catching for the first time in the series. Not all of the future games have this as a mechanic, so it was kinda cool to see. You can't sell or do anything with them though, and after you catch a new one, it gets added to a list of species that you have caught. Gotta catch them all, I guess. So going back to the topic of trading, there are a few things in this game that are very Game Boy. One of which is the ability to trade animals, seeds, fish, and bugs with other real-life players using a Game Link cable. I played on an emulator on the computer, so I have no idea if there's any way to implement this, so I did not do this. I remember wishing I had a Game Link cable so badly as a kid though. I don't remember why. The other feature that is very Game Boy is the ability to print pictures of bugs and fish using the Game Boy printer. So, I think the main reason this game felt like kind of a letdown to me in a lot of ways is because I had just played Harvest Moon 64. Harvest Moon 64 was a game that focused on characters and their relationships, and Harvest Moon GBC 2 doesn't really emphasize the social aspects. You can visit the different townspeople in their shops and talk with them every day. You can also see them up in the plaza on certain days. When they're in the plaza, you can give them gifts, so you can befriend them, and befriending villagers can lead to dialogue changes and little events in the game. But like the previous Harvest Moon Game Boy game, there's no marriage or raising children in this game. There are also festivals in this game like the other Harvest Moon games, but I honestly kept forgetting about them and missing them. My bad. In my defense, there's little indication of when a festival is occurring. You just have to remember the date and go to the plaza at the right time. And I'm a busy farmer, I don't have time for all that. It was also kind of weird meeting characters in this game initially because most were not very recognizable. Many early Harvest Moon games used the same or similar characters between games, so it was different to meet a full cast of almost entirely new characters. Only Ken and Mary appeared familiar to me. The character Ken resembles the twins Ita and Nita from Harvest Moon 64 and Bob from Magical Melody. Mary resembles Maria from Harvest Moon 64 and Mary from Back to Nature. The characters Choco and Chet are also in Harvest Moon GBC 3, so they may come up more when I cover that game, but who knows. Harvest Moon GBC 2 didn't really hook me. The cast of characters is such an important part of every Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons game, and the characters in this game really fell flat to me. I liked being able to choose whether to play as a male or a female character, and I liked that you could choose between a cat or a dog. I also appreciated the increased crop selection compared to previous games. In addition to the lack of a good social component of the game, this game was kind of punishing to the point that it was not always enjoyable. For example, if you stay out farming in the rain or snow, then your character will likely get sick and you skip the next day to recover, and if you skip a day, then your animals won't produce their products for several more days because they're unhappy and did not get fed. Because of that, it's best to go to the doctor most evenings so he can cure you if you do happen to be sick. The house or the building upgrades also require a large amount of money and wood, and it can be a while before you're able to buy any animals due to the amount of grass required before you can even purchase them. It's honestly just a bit of a grind, and I have less patience for that nowadays as I'm older and busier. But I don't hate the game. In fact, I would recommend playing this game over the original Game Boy Color game if you're looking to play a Harvest Moon Game Boy game. It can be fun to see how much money you can get after harvesting a ton of crops, and it's also pretty enjoyable to just sit there and fish. To be honest, I think the game is just old and was stripped down to be playable on the Game Boy Color. At the time I'm recording, this game came out 25 years ago. There were times that I had fun playing, but it definitely shows its age. Unless you're looking to play a Game Boy Color game specifically, I think that there are better handheld Harvest Moon options. Things in the gaming space are just so different in 2025 compared to 2000. Many of us have dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of games available to play at any time, and that's not even counting what can be done using emulators. I'm a bit ashamed to admit this, but I own many games that I've never even played, and yet I still buy more. I remember being a kid and getting one new game a year at Christmas or my birthday, and I played the few games I had to death. And games often seemed to be made to play that way. Even if there wasn't a lot of content in a game, the difficulty allowed you to keep playing for longer. And now, as a full-blown adult with a job and responsibilities, it can feel more tedious than anything else at times when the freaking sheep barn costs 70,000 G and 800 wood. I'd rather just have no sheep and move on to the next game. This has been TheFarmerJ. Next time I'll be playing Harvest Moon Back to Nature. I'm very excited to play this game since it's the first game in the series to be on a non-Nintendo system, and I've heard many people list this game as their favorite in the series. I hope to continue uploading on an approximately bi-weekly basis, but my wife and I are expecting a baby soon, so things are getting a bit hectic. Have any of you played Harvest Moon Game Boy Color too? What did you like or dislike about this game? Tell me in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. See you next time!